This brand is doing creative testing on Facebook ads the right way. True Classic CEO said that the creative strategies they were using on Facebook ads were the reason why they were able to scale to $250 million in just 4 years. And they sell basic t-shirts. And they were able to scale using one easy messaging trick that nearly any brand can replicate. So in this video, we're going to dive into their creative strategy on Facebook/Meta ads, how they've used UGC and creators to scale, that easy messaging trick that exploded their growth, competitors, and how I would take a brand of this size to that next level of growth. Quick disclaimer, I am not affiliated with True Classic in any way. I've never worked with them before, and I've never looked inside of their ad account. This video is just my honest assessment of their marketing strategy from the outside looking in. So let's hop into their ad library and get a taste of what's going on. So the first thing we're gonna wanna do is scroll all the way down to the bottom to see what has been running the longest. And you can see immediately that there is a ton of volume here, so they are running a ton of creative tests right now. Now, going through this, we can see that they have a few images, they had a Futures Point Out ad, and they have tons and tons of UGC and creator content. And you can also see that they are running a few messaging tests, actually split testing different types of messaging that they can use to convert their customers or attract new pockets of customers. And the next thing I'd like to do is make sure that they've tested all of the major formats. So, do they have a Features Point Out image or video? Yes, they do. Are they testing us versus them? And they are. Are they testing different types of UGC? Yes, and in fact, the entire crux of their creative strategy seems to hinge on this, so more on this in a bit. How are they utilizing press? Yes, they have press screenshots, which I actually think they're doing in a really interesting way here, and they're also utilizing press inside of some of their bigger videos. Are they using before and afters? Yes. However, I didn't see any type of founders ads, which is something that I've seen some of their competitors using before. More on that in a little bit. I also didn't see any testimonial image graphics. Of course, a lot of their testimonials are UGC or creator driven, but they don't have any standout graphics that could really zone in on those golden nugget reviews that they probably have. Do they have social media proof ads? Yes, they do. However, I also noticed that they were really missing out on some of the handwriting or ugly ad styles. And they were also missing out on leaning into statistics in their advertising. Again, this is something that I've seen a lot of their competitors do before. The interesting thing about True Classic is the majority of their creative strategy is really driven by UGC and creator content, and is effective because of that one psychological messaging trick. In just a second, we're almost there. But first, let's talk about their UGC strategy, and I want to break this down into the creators they're using and also the hooks that they're using. Now, something that I always do when I'm looking at the talent and creators that brands are using is I want to make sure that they have a really good range of diversity there so that they can actually reach different pockets of people through showing diversity in their ads. So at the most basic level, True Classic is using male and female creators, and sometimes they're even using couples. Additionally, they're also showing a pretty wide range of men in their ads, as well as different body types and races. To be honest, I think that they're doing this better than the average brand, because a lot of times when I am going through and looking through a brand's talent, I often find that they're missing out on a certain age range or a certain racial diversity. I also happen to notice that they're doing a celebrity partnership with Fernando Tatis Jr., which is a baseball player. But when we zoom in on the hooks and the storylines of the ads, that's where it gets really interesting. So let's take a look at a few of these hooks, right? What do you think these all have in common? In fact, this is the secret messaging strategy that exploded their growth. And what they're doing here is they are tapping into a key human desire that actually has nothing to do with t-shirts, right? They're going beyond what they're selling, going beyond direct response, and really tapping into a psychological need that their consumers have. And in these, it's to be romantically desired by someone. Stephen Rice, a professor at Ohio State University, actually said that there are 16 of these types of key human desires, and the ones that True Classic tends to lean into for their advertising are going to be romance as well as social connection. This strategy is also something that their competitors use really successfully, like Cuts, for instance. But what's really interesting about the differentiation between Cuts and True Classic is Cuts tends to lean more on the human desire of family as well as social status, which shows at a deeper level how these two very similar brands are actually targeting pretty different people overall. So right, Cuts is for the C-suite man. True Classics is more for that director level and for the more elevated type of everyday man. Cuts is Soho, True Classic is East Village circa 2010. So what would I do to take True Classic to the next level? One thing that I'm noticing here is I think that they might actually be testing too much UGC and not taking enough bigger creative swings. I think this is something that Bird Dogs does really well, right? Of course they utilize UGC and creator content, but every few months they're also doing a really big creative swing that, while it is a gamble, is getting them more opportunities to actually reach a net new audience. Sometimes what I see is if you go down this path of utilizing UGC after UGC after UGC, sometimes what happens is you're really just only delivering to people who are going to react or engage with UGC content. And if you really want to scale, that's why you have to expand to different types of formats and modes of storytelling. And one way that I would suggest this is really pulling back that curtain and doing a founder story, a more in-depth brand story. I think that this is something that Cuts does really, really well. We have a much bigger sense of who Steven is over at Cuts versus the people that are behind True Classics, especially when it relates just to their paid social advertising. Of course, there is going to be a lot of noise with the press about the brand and about these big numbers, but we really want to focus in more on how the story is being presented in the paid advertisements, which is something that Cuts has done really well, sharing a little bit more about the family who created the brand or Steven himself. Another thing I think they could lean more into, call very hot, is to do more ugly style of ads. I think that this is something that's actually really well within their reach and wouldn't end up costing them a ton of money, but they could try doing more handwriting style ads, more one shot, one takes, or even expanding a lot more into the different types of body types and people that they're partnering with. I also think that they could do a better job of showing more social proof. So leaning into more of the numbers and statistics behind their brand. This is something that Mott and Bow saw a lot of success with. I'm thinking because they iterated on this ad a ton, but I don't know because I don't have their ad account. But this is something that I see really working on the Facebook ads, Meta ads platform as a whole, and something that True Classic should try to lean into, whether or not it's showcasing, hey, this is how many positive 5-star reviews, this is how many t-shirts or whatever we've sold, anything. Another way to show this social proof too is leaning into more of those testimonials. And I think that's something that we're really missing from True Classics. There's more of those punchy golden nugget style reviews that they could show front and center. This is something that Bird Dog specifically really, really succeeds in. And finally, I think it would be really interesting for them to do a celebrity / influencer push and really partner with people that are more in fashion or more in design or tech and, you know, are talented content creators. I think that the partnership they did with Fernanda Tatis is really, really interesting and really good for them. But you can't just put all of your energy and focus into one celebrity endorsement. This is something that really has to be spread across several different partnerships so that you can really see, okay, what type of people are my customers, or what new types of customers can I reach by tapping into these certain engagements? And that's it. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.